I think the intellectual revolution that's going on now to restore liberty in this country is well on its way, and there's no way they're going to stop the momentum that we have started.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm John Light. If you weren't here earlier when John introduced me, I have a band called Seize the Apparatus, but really the reason I'm here tonight is because I met John when I was in Paul Fest. With Adam Kokesh. I work for Adam versus the Man. Awesome. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about what I think, or at least what I'm going to do to continue liberty in my own life. I think it's really up to every individual to decide what makes them happy. I came to liberty through voluntarism, by way of Ron Paul kind of minarchist libertarianism, and have been wondering really ever since I first discovered voluntarism how best to apply my activist energies, because before, when I was a minarchist, I had a lot of faith in the political system and thought that that was how it's normal for people to trying to affect change in the world. Once I really started understanding the political system and voluntarism, I really started to back away from the political system and try to be as free as possible in my own life and just try to help the people around me be free from forced fraud and coercion as well. So since discovering voluntarism, I have embraced the philosophy of live free now and living like there's no government. And what that means for me is to not end the Fed, but ignore it. And there are many ways that we can nullify the state in our life on a daily basis and try to minimize its impact on our life. One of the tactics that I'm quite fond of is known as agorism or agorism, which was a tactic first developed by Samuel Edward Konkin III in the book New Libertarian Manifesto and An Agorist Primer. Those books were really influential to me to really focus my energy on trying to live outside of the statist paradigm. And I'm going to give you a quote from Buckminster Fuller, who was a futurist, an inventor, and all-around really amazing person in the early 20th century. He said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." And this really stuck with me because when I started to think about it, it wasn't political action that freed the slaves. It was a combination of slaves simply walking off of the plantation and revolting, but also technology. Technology did a lot to free the slaves. Once the cotton gin and other automated field-picking kinds of machines were invented, slavery actually became probably more expensive and just wasn't very sustainable. So in a way, technology helped to make slavery obsolete. And in the same way, I think that technology, as much as it can be used as a tool against us, can also be used by us as a tool against the state and forced fraud and coercion. One system that I'm really getting into right now is Bitcoin, because it's essentially a completely new economy that's developing outside of the fiat, global fiat debt-based, forced onto us monopoly, whatever, Federal Reserve kind of central banking system. And Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a decentralized, peer-to-peer currency that is backed by encryption and computing power, which is constantly checking transactions to make sure that people aren't counterfeiting or double spending the coins that are in existence. And I would say if you want to call Bitcoin a fiat currency, then you're wrong. Bitcoin is more like digital gold. Just like gold, there is only a certain amount that will ever be in existence, at least on this earth, or in this computing program. It's capped at 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be in existence. It's very easily divisible, just like gold, and it's also very hard to counterfeit and trick people into accepting Bitcoin that are actually owned by somebody else or have already been spent. Just like gold is very hard, if not impossible, to counterfeit. Never mind the tungsten-filled bars that were just discovered recently in New York City. You can't encrypt gold. But basically, the reason why I've latched on to Bitcoin so much is because I have taken the voluntarist route and removed myself from politics. So I don't think that the audit the Fed movement or even the end the Fed movement as a political movement is very effective, because you're essentially trying to tell criminals who are making trillions of dollars off of you to just stop doing what they're doing, and it's not going to be that easy. No matter how many good politicians you get into office, I don't think it's happening. So I was trying to look for ways to end the Fed without the political system. And how do you do that? I don't believe in violence, so I don't think something as stupid as blowing up all the Federal Reserve buildings is going to end the Fed. So that was obviously out. So I went again to technology, which I believe has done a lot to liberate humanity so far. And Bitcoin was the first thing that stuck out like a sore thumb to me. And after getting familiar with the system, I have a lot of trust in it. I don't think that people will be able to take advantage of the Bitcoin system itself as much as some fear-mongering kind of stories would lead you to believe. There are certainly a lot of scams that people perpetuate using Bitcoin because it is an anonymous currency, but you know, you're an adult now. You have to take responsibility for yourself and your assets, and you can't always expect strangers to tell the truth, and that's why you can't trust politicians, because ultimately they're just strangers who are making promises and then breaking them once they get into office. So a lot of great ecosystem has come up around Bitcoin, and there are currently systems to trade Bitcoin locally so that you can meet up with people and purchase Bitcoins in person, or kind of like a Bitcoin swap meet where you can purchase items from people in person on tradebitcoin.com, localbitcoins.com. There are also darknet services that allow you to purchase things which may or may not be sanctioned by the criminal organization governing your particular geographical location. You can use Tor to access those darknets if you're interested. So that's one way that you can just remove yourself from that particular status system. The Federal Reserve monetary system is to opt out into a non-state private currency like Bitcoin. I also believe that the state has taken over pretty much every other industry as well, such as agriculture, healthcare, security, you name it, the auto industry, everything. And I think that it's up to the liberty movement or the people in the liberty movement to build these new infrastructures that do not acknowledge the existing state system, or at least, like I said, minimize the effect that status regulations have as much as possible. And so by that, I mean, say for agriculture, we all know how heavily subsidized agriculture is. We all know, at least I think a lot of people here know the evils of Monsanto and industrial agriculture as a whole. So a way that you can remove yourself from that system is to maybe buy local, buy organic, or start growing your own food and being self-sufficient, and just looking for ways outside of the status paradigm to support yourself. I think that ultimately, if the liberty movement embraces technologies such as Bitcoin, urban gardening, 3D printing, just a real quick note on 3D printing, there's a company called Defense Distributed, which is figuring out how to print guns. So if you can imagine how destabilizing it could be for not just the government here at home, but governments in third world countries where guns are banned, if somebody can just print a gun in their living room or print a whole bunch of guns for their neighbors, how long do you think a tyrannical government could stay in power if this was possible? 3D printers are very liberating technologies that I would say keep an eye out. They're even talking about printing body parts and organs, like biological 3D printing. It's incredible. More technologies that the liberty movement, I think especially the tech-savvy people in the liberty movement should embrace, other than Bitcoin and 3D printing. Open mesh networks, such as Open Garden or the Batman protocol, which essentially allows any device which can receive an internet signal to also broadcast an internet signal, so that devices can leapfrog off of each other, thus completely cutting out the centralized, cartelized, monopolized ISP system that currently exists. That's very important if we want the internet to stay free, is to get the internet out of the hands of these centralized internet service providers, which have been cartelized by the state. Tor and VPN clients are very important for internet anonymity. Things could start to get really scary soon, especially with cases like Brandon Robb, where he's getting kidnapped and held, extorted, abused for Facebook posts, basically. If you're using a VPN and Tor, it becomes much harder for people to track your internet traffic and come and find you when you say controversial things on the internet. I can't speak to Brandon's character, but it is a tragedy what happened to him. To answer Josh's question about power and Bitcoin, if we lost all our power and you don't have any sort of a backup system like solar backup or diesel or anything like that, I think you have bigger problems than where's my Bitcoin. Just like any investment portfolio, you should be diversified, so you should have some money in Bitcoin, some in gold and silver, some in fiat currencies just in case you're traveling. But ultimately, you want to be ready for anything. So I can tell you that Bitcoin can survive on a sneaker net, which is basically a very slow internet where people hand thumb drives to each other to transfer information and transfer Bitcoin. So with a sneaker net, if there's no internet, as long as you have power and you can get the Bitcoin off of your computer and onto a thumb drive, you can transfer it to other people with in-person exchanges in your local community. Other projects that the Liberty Movement can focus energy and attention towards would be new projects to actually physically separate ourselves from the criminal populations centers such as suburbs and inner cities, and even some rural areas which are overrun by the good old boy type of cops. Free State Project, I can mention right off the bat, Blue Ridge Liberty Project, which is a new project that started in Asheville, North Carolina. It's very similar to the Free State Project, just not in New Hampshire. So if you I have stayed away from moving to New Hampshire for whatever reason. Maybe you don't like the weather. That's kind of my reason. There's Asheville, North Carolina, which is a very nice mountainous kind of rural area, also near some cities. So it's got a little bit of everything. Check it out. The guy that runs it, his name is Justin Stout. You can find him on Facebook. Clay Douglas's Liberty Villages, which can be done anywhere. It's essentially starting up a new self-sufficient kind of Liberty Village anywhere where you can buy land, and basically trying to remove yourself from the state system as much as possible. Earthship communities, I'm very partial to earthships myself. I really like the passive solar heating and cooling systems, and also the greenhouses that are built in, and the gray water recycling systems for all the water. I think it's great. And most recently, a really exciting development would be free private cities. I don't know if you guys have heard the recent interview on Free Talk Live with Michael Strong, but he's a member of, I believe it's called the MKG group, and they're actually contracting with the government of Honduras to build sovereign private cities. I think it's pretty incredible development, and if it turns out good, it could be very promising for liberty businesses that want to escape the taxes and regulations associated with doing business with major states. You know, there are a number of projects that I just mentioned which individuals who are interested in different things can get involved in. If you're more of a gardener or farmer type of person, you can specialize through the Division of Labor in maybe urban gardening or square foot gardening or any of the kind of local gardening projects that you can do, CSAs, to help you and your community be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the statist paradigm for your food. If you're more of a tech person, Bitcoin is definitely what you want to get into. It's a whole new economy, really awesome, ripe for the taking, and much needed talent pool there. And of course, if there's something out there that you feel that the liberty movement needs, people who want to be free of involuntary force, fraud, and coercion, create these new infrastructure, create these new systems which are apart from the statist paradigm. That is what is really most important, is to free yourself from the state today. You don't have to wait for a politician to give you permission to be free. You can do it yourself with just a little bit of work. Anonymize your internet traffic, maybe start growing your own vegetables in the backyard, do business in a local currency or Bitcoin or gold and silver trading. These are all ways that you can remove yourself from the statist paradigm. Ultimately, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. So we must not be afraid to confront tyranny in our communities. Otherwise, we should leave and form our own intentional liberty communities somewhere where we are safer. Because the ideas of liberty and fighting for the ideas of liberty, it does not make a difference if you are locked up in a cage somewhere. And one last idea that I threw at the very bottom just to put out there for people to talk about in the chat for a little bit, or maybe talk about in the round table. The Church of Liberty. Yeah? Church of Liberty. We can all live tax exempt. Just an idea. I don't want to feed the beast any more than you do. Churches don't have to pay taxes. I'm a secularist myself, so I have no problem making up a Church of Liberty and practicing our own freedom of religion to be free of force, fraud, and coercion. So let me know what y'all think about that. Let me know what you think of everything else I talked about. Look into Bitcoin. I'm serious. Like that money system is the most important of all the systems that we need to help remove ourselves from, because almost all of our relationships involve money in some way. That's how we survive is money and doing transactions with other people. So freeing ourselves from the money monopoly is the most important. So I'm done now. Thank you all for listening and tuning in. This is great grassroots work, and thank you, John, for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining the show. I'm glad we were able to get your microphone working and everything.
Yep, thanks.
Okay,
John.
so up next we have Paco Elijah, formerly from Ron Paul Radio's Occupy the Media. Paco, you ready? You should be starting broadcast. I'm going to go ahead and close you for now, John.
Cool,
and
man.
then yeah, probably the best show from Ron Paul Radio. Kept it going for a couple extra months. So here we go, Paco Elijah.
What's up? Can you guys see me or hear me? Because I'm literally, can you guys see me? Because I got a big white screen on my computer. So do you guys see my face? Oh, y'all do? Oh, okay. Alright, I'm sounding clear too? Alright, thanks. Alright, well, I'm just looking at a white screen, I guess, so, oh well. Alright, well, first thing is I want to say what's up to everybody. I'm pretty sure I haven't talked to some of y'all for a while, or even met some of y'all. I know I've been out for a while, but those of you who don't remember, I was on Ron Paul Radio. You know, a lot of us did the best we could to keep it going for as long as possible. And I had a great time on it, met a lot of you guys, and got a lot of good feedback, and you know, that shit meant a lot to me, man. So I definitely miss it, but we got to keep on, you know, keep on pushing and keep on going, you know. And first thing I want to do is shout out Yohan, because I don't know anybody in the movement that work more than Yohan. I see this dude on Facebook and on here all the time. So first thing I want to say is anybody that's able to support him, you know, definitely do that, you know, because we need more people like that, man, that's out there getting the word out there on a daily basis. You know, some of us don't feel like, you know, sometimes we got to, like, turn off the computer or the TV. I feel like we can always count on Yohan to be there, man. That dude is going to keep on, you know, putting the news out there. So shout out to Yohan, and I appreciate you bringing me, you know, letting me get on the show. Looks like we got a good amount of people in here, and that's what we need. We need to keep growing, you know. But I didn't get to catch everybody before me, so I apologize. I just want to touch on a couple of things that I have that I want to talk about, like as far as what the movement should be doing and where it should be going. And if something, you know, I'm not coming in clear or something like that, or something's wrong, you guys let me know. So far, it sounds like I'm straight. But I also want to talk about Occupy the Media, which I'll get into at the end, and some of you guys kind of probably already know that spill, but that's very important to me. Still, you know, still is very important to me. But Yohan was telling me that basically we want to talk about where our revolution, where we should be going as a movement, what it is that a lot of us should be doing. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been doing a lot of thinking since the RNC, you know, like a lot of thinking, man, just thinking about everything, you know, thinking about what we could have did better, what we did wrong, what we did right, you know, regrets here and there. I mean, just thinking about everything. I know a lot of us had to, like, get away for a moment, you know. For me, it was kind of like that, because it really, really hurt, man, to put in all that work and to see what they did to us, to see the amount of cheating. I mean, it's just what they did to the main delegates. I mean, I can't explain, you know, like the feeling I get every time I think about the RNC or what's going on in this country, and how many people don't know about it, don't care, have no idea that we've just been shamed. And I don't really think Ron Paul votes were being counted, period, you know, like I don't believe the numbers at all. And so we've had a lot of big hurdles to jump, and so now the question is, Ron Paul isn't, in Congress anymore. We don't know if he's probably not going to run for president anymore. So now it's like, where do we go from here? What do we do from here? And first thing I want to say is, I hear a lot of people talking about voting third party and voting independent, and it's not all about Ron Paul. It's bigger than that, and I understand that. But I feel like if we truly believe the government, everything is as bad as we say it is, like, we have to understand that our votes are not being counted. And I feel like if anybody believes that Ron Paul really lost all these states, or Ron Paul really lost his own district to Mitt Romney, then I think we need to question ourselves, if we really believe those numbers. And so for me, I never truly promoted Ron Paul because I thought my vote was going to be counted. I never told people to vote for Ron Paul because I thought all the votes were going to be counted and we would legitimately have a chance. I was pushing Ron Paul because I felt like he was the only one that could generate enough people to come out to the polls that they couldn't hide it anymore. And that the shit would basically expose itself. And so, to me, that's why I always supported him. That's why I always talked about voting. It's not because I necessarily believed if we just showed up and voted, they would count it and we would get a fair chance. I just felt like he could actually draw that massive crowd of people, that massive amount of people that we need to create that perception, or to battle the perception that we're going up against, And that's why I promoted Ron Paul. If I ever felt like he had too many flaws and he couldn't generate that much of a people or a movement behind him, I never would have supported him. And that's how I look at Gary Johnson. That's how I look at Dennis Kucinich. That's how I look at a lot of these people that are better than most politicians, but they're not as consistent. And that consistency is what allowed Ron Paul to generate such a movement like he did. And that's why I did it. And that's why I supported him. And so I think we all did a smart thing in supporting him and doing what we can. But now the question is, what are we going to do from here? And today, I was out running around and chilling with some people or whatever, and I was jotting some notes here, just the different things that I want to just say to people. And this I'm either doing, or I'm in the process of doing, or I know I need to do it. And I feel like there's a lot of things, personal things, that all of us could be doing and should be doing, in my opinion. And of course, we all have our opinion. You guys can let me know, what you think about that. And again, I hope I'm still coming in clear. All right, first thing is, we all need to be investing in gold and silver, and mainly silver. And we got a couple of gold and silver gurus up here that know more about it than I ever could. So if you just stay tuned on Paul Tribune, you'll see many people. I think Tom is one of them that'll answer a lot of your questions. Now, for me, if I haven't bought any gold or silver yet because of my position, because of my situation, I haven't had the funds to be able to even think about saving anything. Like, I'm in survival mode right now, really. And that's what a lot of us are in. But a lot of us need to realize that we need to make sure that we're focusing on doing whatever we can to fight against inflation and to have sound money, and not to be set up having all of our money saved in dollars, and then, when shit hits the fan, we really don't have anything, So we really need to be working on trying to get gold and silver, and really, if you can't work on getting gold and silver now, then that brings to my next point. Get out of debt. Any one of us in this room, if you're in debt, you're sitting in debt, you got credit cards, you got loans, your focus needs to be to get out. And if you got too much debt, your focus needs to be on how can I file bankruptcy, get out of that shit. You need to liquidate your own self, like you need to get debt free. And you know what? That's been my issue for a long time. When I was young, young and dumb, I did a lot of good things, but then I set myself up in a lot of bad ways without realizing it. I trusted credit, I trusted my job situation, I trusted the hours I was getting, my pay, and because things didn't fall in line the way I wanted, I kind of I shot myself in the foot in the long run, And so we got to make sure that we taking care of ourselves and our families and not setting ourselves up. And so get out of debt, pay your debt off. If you can't if you can't file bankruptcy, get out of that shit. You know, you're never going to be able to do anything as long as you're tied to the dollar, as long as you're tied to that balance, you know. You really got to get up out of there. Let's see. And there's some other topics in regards to that I want to get to, and I'll go down the line here because I can't remember every single thing. But another thing we need to be doing is, as a movement, you know, just as a people, is starting to eat better and work out more, you know, and that's one thing that I'm going to start doing here real soon. You know, a little side note in my personal situation, I'm now a single father. I've been going through a lot of shit. Me and my girl no longer together. I'm a single father now, so it's just me and my daughter. My living situation is changing, and so I'm bringing up a lot more money, a lot more of my income. And so now I'm going back to getting the gym membership. I'm going to start eating better food and more food, you know. And that's one thing. That's one thing that we have to do, man, is that we have to start eating better, feeding our minds better, because a big part of our personality, a big part of the way we feel, our mood, it has to do with the shit we eating and the shit we drinking, you know? And a lot of us need to try and change it. And I'm all for freedom, you know, eat what you want, do what you want, I'm all for that. But at the same time, because of the times that we're living in, every day is a strategic move. This shit's a chess game, and every day is a battle, you know? And so I think eating healthier and working out, it will just only improve us, each one of us, individually better. And I mean, look at Ron Paul. You think Ron Paul can get up there and talk in those debates as old as he is if he wasn't riding that damn bicycle around and shit? If he wasn't, you know, drinking that water and every weekend staying consistent with it and not, you know, drinking alcohol and not doing drugs, you know, if he would have fucked himself up and not eating good, we might not be able to hear him. He might be dead, you know, he might not be with us. He might be too ill or too sick. And so we got to remember that, man. Each one of us got to get better at that. All right, so let's see here. What else do I got? And am I coming in clear still? I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the chat room too much. I apologize. I'm trying not to, like, have too many pause moments. It's been a while since I've been on the radio and then this in a show format. All right, let's see. Yeah, no, man. Okay. All right, another thing. If you're not recording CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, stop watching that shit. Stop giving them ratings. You know, if you're recording it, like some of us, and putting it on YouTube to expose them, because it's teaching people, it's educating people, if you find certain clips here and there, cool, do that. But if you're not recording them, stop turning them. And I'm talking to myself, because, you know, I'm a hypocrite in this. I got to practice what I preach. Sometimes I catch myself, you know, watching CNN and shit. But we got to remember, we're only giving them ratings when we turn to their channel, you know? If you are going to watch something from CNN or Fox or something, watch something that somebody else recorded, like Mox News from YouTube, or Ron Paul from YouTube, and some others that are out there that you know, that keep us updated, you know? And I'm sorry I ain't been on my shit in a minute. I probably won't be on it for a while, so, you know, unfortunately, you can't look towards my page for that. But there's other people, you know? And that's what we need to... That's how we need to get it. Otherwise, stop turning to them. Let's make their ratings go down. You know? And I know a lot of us watch them because we just want to know the bullshit they're talking about. You know, we don't necessarily believe them. But remember, every time you click to their channel, you're giving them ratings. Alright, alright, on a personal note too, like I was talking about eating and working out and stuff, one thing is, us in the movement, if you're not already, we need to become more sociable, I think. Like, you know, we need to be more of a lot of us are young, you know, a lot of us are 20s, our 30s, we're just getting into the movement, we're ex-Obama supporters, we're young people, we were just like any other young person before we came to this movement. We were all into, you know, sports, TV shows, going out, drinking, you know, we're all into the same shit, smoking, as you can see. And I just feel like there's a lot of people in politics that are kind of like that outcast guy, or that person that, you know, sticks to himself, or real quiet, or real shy. And I think a lot of us need to get out of that shit. You know, we need to be out there, man. Like, we need to be the people that everybody knows, you know. Be more sociable. If you hate people, start liking them. Start finding a reason to like every person you come around. Because you need to remember, every person we come in contact with, you have no idea who they are. You know, who they know. You don't know what their past is. You don't know how many people they can bring to this room. To Ron Paul Tribune, you know? And we need to start thinking like that. Every time I step outside, you know, like, I'm ready to speak to anybody, motherfucker. Like, you know, anybody, anywhere. It's like, it don't matter. And it doesn't even mean that I'm going to talk about Ron Paul. It doesn't even mean I'm going to bring up politics. But I promise you, you know, I'm going to have that number, or they're going to know me, or we're going to be in contact, or, you know, I'm going to stick out. And if you knew a lot of people that know me personally, they don't even know about Ron Paul. They just know me because I'm just like everybody else, you know what I mean? I cling to people, I talk about other issues, I talk about other shit. So, you know, we got to remember that. What else? I think a lot of us online, man, like, we need to learn how we can link up. You know, if you're on vacation, you're thinking about going somewhere, don't go to fucking Hawaii and go to a place where you don't know nobody. Motherfucking go to Florida and see John, you know what I mean? Like, go to fucking Texas and see Carlos and shit. You know, like, we need to start linking up and like, if one of y'all is for example, let's just say that, like, one of y'all wants to move to Southern California. I'm single now, it's just me and my daughter. And one of y'all hit me up and was like, Paco, I want to get a place together. I want to move to Southern California, but I don't know nobody. Well, shit, you know, we've been up here for months. Maybe we should talk about you flying out there, us giving a place. You know, it's like, that might sound out there, but I just feel like if more of us come together, we could be each other's crutches, and that's what we fucking need, man. Like, that's what we need. We need more crutches. We need more of us to be in contact, you know. I mean that seriously, man. Like, seriously. Like, it's cool that we up here talking and that we can be some of us, this is like a therapy for us. Some of y'all, like, emotionally my crutches, you know, some real shit. Sometimes I'll be in the room listening to y'all and y'all don't know it. Like, it's real like that. This like therapy. And if we can even, a lot of us can even come closer, then imagine what we can do if we're helping each other out, man. And we're helping each other chase our goals and our dreams in life. And like I said, maybe one of y'all is in Minnesota and you don't want to be there. You want to be in Cali. Or maybe you're in Cali and you want to be in Florida. You know, I feel like shit, if I was on a road trip like I was doing, when I gave you all my story, you know, I don't know if y'all heard it, but I was doing my little road trip for a minute. And if I was still doing that, I feel like I'd be able to see, like, quite a few of y'all, because I, like, know people in I feel like in almost all the states now. You know, so it's like, that's something we need to think about, man. Like, link up, even if it's only for a vacation, even if it's only for a trip. You know, if you is talking about moving in or whatever, man, link up, man. We all got to be coming together more, man. What else? One thing is, man, we need to be all trying to focus on getting our own land if we can. Ron Paul says we truly don't own our own property in this country, and I believe that. The closest you're going to get is, you know, paying off your house and your land. You still got to pay taxes, but I think a lot of us need to be trying to focus on getting land, man. You're going to buy a car, don't get a car loan, man. Buy that shit cash. You know, if you're going to get a house, try not to get a loan, or try not to get a loan with a big-ass balance. Try to have that shit in cash, like, try to have a lot of it, man. And that means living beneath your means or within your means, which I'm going to get to in a minute, but our own food, you know, your own land, growing our own food, man, a lot of us need to be doing that. And if you're in local areas where there's local farmers, local growers, what is this shit, you know, what is it, the food markets, or what is it called, that they be having outside and shit, you know, where they be having all the food and shit outside. Stuff like that, man, we need to be supporting that. Farmers markets, there you go, I appreciate that, man. Like, we need to be supporting those people, man, because those people, it's not easy, you know, doing what they're doing. You know, anybody in your area, you know, selling raw milk, selling, you know, organic food, we need to be supporting those people, you know, like, giving them your money. Those are the people we need to be doing, are helping. Okay, so, and just in general, man, a lot of us in the movement, if you're well off, because I'm pretty sure some of us come up on this channel with guns and gold and silver, and some of us been libertarian since fucking middle school and shit, and y'all some lucky motherfuckers for knowing it. A lot of us made mistakes though. We're paying for that shit, and so we're getting around to being smart with our money and trying to do what's right. But those of you that already did, man, those of us that haven't, we need to be motherfucking turning into hustlers, man. Everybody in the movement need to be thinking about how to get money, because we can't do shit if we're broke. If you're in this chat room and you ain't really well off, you ain't financially set, that means that you need to do whatever you can within the movement, but you need to be focusing on your own shit too. Like we need those of us that are still struggling, those of us that are on food stamps, those of us that don't got full-time jobs, and those of us that don't know how the fuck we gonna pay the rent next month and shit, like that's seriously, like you need to get financially set, because again, you can't do shit if you ain't got no time on your hands, because you gotta look for work, or you're working all the time and you ain't making enough. Like, what are you gonna do if you're always stressed out? Like, the movement can only get so much of your time and your health if you're handicapped, like if you're stressed out all the time, you're broke, you ain't got no car, you can't get places. It's like, focus on your own shit. Like, it's called doing the movement shit, doing everything for Ron Paul, doing what we can. But if you ain't got your shit together, get your shit together. We all need to be hustling again and doing what we got to do. And I don't mean in a legal way. I mean just getting money. Just get money. And obviously I don't mean keeping it all in cash. When you're making it over, do what you got to do. But I'm saying before you can even get that far, like some of us, get out of debt. And before you can do that, make money. You need to figure out a way to make money. And it's sad, a lot of us got to work for the New World Order. A lot of us got to do jobs that we don't want to do and work for corporations that we don't want to work for. And it's sad, it's fucked up. But at the end of the day, you got to be a survivalist before an activist. Because if you ain't surviving, well, what activism you gonna be doing? You're just gonna be a homeless bum on the street with the sign that nobody's really looking for, broken and fucking and hungry and shit. You gotta get money. And I mean that to the fullest, man. Okay, what else? We need to be, those of us that are able to join the Republican Party and get involved, we need to be turning that shit to the hangout spot. Like, every Republican meeting should be looking like the outside of a club. There needs to be mad people there. Even people that aren't registered, that can't be there, if you need to be outside with signs, whatever it is. The Republican meetings, the locations, the spots, the people, and they need to be exposed. So this shit's people need to be, as many people as we can in your local area need to be out there. That's why we need to be working on linking up more in a local way. Okay, let me see. Those of us, attending council meetings, we need to all try to be doing those, getting more involved locally, Remember, though, if you're not set, you're not financially set, you don't got your shit together, you need to be doing this to an extent. Because if you're not getting your stuff together, you're only going to be able to do so much. And we need you. We need all of you. We need you to have a peace of mind, so we need you eating right, eating good. You know what I'm saying? We need you with a roof over your head, We need you to have whatever it takes for you to get through your day, get through your week, your month. So remember that. All right, we need to be, so to speak, taking back the party, infiltrating the party, whatever you want to say. We need to be trying to boycott, the New World Order by boycotting certain products, certain corporations, which we can go all down the list. But like Coca-Cola and, products like that, and I mean, shit, all types of things where it's impossible for us to boycott everything because we use so much, they run so much of our lives, but we need to be aware of our surroundings, man, aware of the signs, aware, like the New World Order is everywhere, instead of buying Nike shoes, try to buy someone who, some shoes that somebody made from hemp or some shit. Instead of buying clothes from the mall, try to order clothes online from a hemp producer or somebody in Canada. I don't know. I always told myself when I got a new wardrobe and I have money to buy clothes, I didn't want to wear nothing but clothes that had In the Fed, Ron Paul, in the drug war, clothes that are, and every single shit we do, it's got to be promoting this movement, man. Every part of our lives. This is how we revolutionize our apartment, revolutionize our home, our family, our daughters, our sons. You got a daughter and a son, you better turn them into a revolutionary, man. You got a kid, you got a son, you better turn him into a tough kid. Make him tough. Make your daughter tough. As soon as you can get them in the gun range, get them in there. Like, we need to be preparing. We need to be setting ourselves up. This is what we all got to do when all of us ain't around, when Paco's by himself, is what Paco need to be doing. When Shay by himself, when John by himself, these are the things that we need to be doing to make ourselves better and a bigger tool for the movement. Otherwise, man, we're only so strong, man. We're only so strong if every one of us can't get somewhere because we all need a ride, or we ain't got gas money, or we ain't got food to eat, or we're focused on trying to find a job because we're unemployed, Like, that shit is fucking affecting us. It really is. And so, we got to remember that. Oh yeah, if you don't know it already, there's about 2 or 3 states where you can get accounts, bank accounts, and you can put gold or silver in the bank account, and you can spend gold and silver. So I don't care what state you live in, especially if you're in a neighboring state. It's Utah, and it's either North Carolina or South Carolina and Minnesota. Those 3 states, you need to get to a local bank, talk to a local bank manager like I did, and tell them that you want to know about getting a gold account. I called the bank manager. As long as you have gold coins that were minted by the government, the U.S. government back in, I think, in the 50s, you can input gold and silver and you can get market value. That means the balance in your checking account can go up by doing nothing. And when you go out to the store and you swipe your debit card, you won't be spending dollars, you'll be spending gold. Now here's the thing, don't put all your money there. We can't trust the banks, we can't trust anybody. So I'm not telling you to put all your money there, or to totally put all your resources there. But what I am saying is, we need movements like that to grow. We need that shit to be the norm. We need more people to be asking questions about that. And the more of us that are doing that, the more the awareness is going to get out there. But still keep your gold and silver in your house somewhere, in a safe somewhere. Shit, bury that shit like a dog. We need to be doing so many things, not just one thing. But I do think that's one avenue. Because unfortunately, you never know. That bank might close down one day. The bank might confiscate all that shit. That's why I don't put all your shit, eggs in one basket. But at the same time, we need to be taking on all these battles, And so let's see, what else? A lot of us that know military members, people in the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, and those of us that know police officers and those in the police force, we need to be waking more of them up, because when shit hits the fan, or there's really a new world order, there's really a big movement, hopefully Occupy the Media, we need a lot of police officers, a lot of military men on our side, man. That's what's going to make a big difference. That's who we need to be talking to. We need to be waking them up. So if you know somebody, a sheriff, police officer, military person, any of them, make sure you got a lot of focus on them. Don't bother them, don't yell at them, don't try to convert them overnight. Just make sure you there for them, man. Be that example, What else? Make sure you're attending local rallies, local protests. If a young boy got killed by the police, in your town down the street, and people are protesting police brutality, well, there you go. You need to go there with your Ron Paul shirt. Go there with your libertarian shirt, in the drug war shirt. Go there and show your support. And next thing you know, you're going to meet more people where you guys relate now on something, police brutality, and you can use that to educate them about the Fed and the true root causes of our problems, and you can wake people up like that, So make sure that you're doing that. We need to be getting in contact with people on the other side of the political spectrum that don't necessarily know about the things we know about. Let's see here. Let's see. Earlier I was talking about living within our means. Now that I'm changing up, my bills and my living situation, I'm living beneath my means. So a lot of us need to try and live beneath our means. Like, we don't, and again, I'm all for freedom. I just think this is some good advice for all of us, myself included. We don't need fucking jewelry. We don't need 3-4 cars. We don't need big-ass mansions and fucking new clothes every week and fucking $300 shoes and shit. We don't need shit like this, man. This shit is material shit. Us in the movement, we need to be spending our money, I believe, on food, shit that's going to help us, shit on the movement, promoting, giving our money to liberty candidates, promoting small businesses that are libertarian-minded, putting our money there, like, we need to be making sure that we living beneath our means so we can have that access to money to support the causes that matter, not this bullshit, And I know we need clothes, we need shoes. I'm not saying walking barefoot, walking with no shirt on your back. I'm just saying, and maybe I'm not talking to a lot of us per se, but there's a lot of people in this country that blow their money on a lot of dumb shit, and I think that we all could do better, And I might not be talking to a lot of us. Maybe a lot of us already on that shit, but I think it helps to free up a lot of funds. Spend your money on gold and silver and buying guns and trying to buy your house or buy a car cash. Getting out of debt or staying out of debt, focusing on those things so we can be even a stronger weapon against the New World Order. But if we're in debt, we're focusing on, blowing our money on dumb shit and, a whole bunch of other things, and we're just doing what the New World Order and the politicians want us to do, So, we gotta keep that in mind. And I think that when we eat healthy, when we focus on ourselves, our bodies, our minds, the things that make us better as a people, not as a person, not what makes us our image, so to speak, better. When we focus on that, I think we become more attractive, not just in an attractive sense, but more people cling to us. You're going to find more people wanting to be around you, more people wanting to hang around, more people are going to want to become your friend, and you're more likable. Because you got a peace of mind about you. You're walking with, this great vibe around you, so to speak, and that shit, it leads people in, it draws people in and shit, And I truly believe that about Ron Paul. His eating better, working out, not getting caught up in the same show politicians are into, it really, I think, made him more attractive, man, and we need to remember that, because the more attractive we are as a people, as a movement, the more opportunity we have to speak to others. And I don't know about you, but all I need is someone to give me their ears, and it's only a matter of time before I'm going to have their heart, Like, I just need that time. I just need them to give me that moment. And I feel like I can get them, I might not get them right there or overnight, but I for sure guarantee you, if I talk to someone about Ron Paul, the next time Ron Paul is brought up, it probably ain't from me, it's from them, because it sticks. So we got to remember that, man. Like, we want to be drawing more people in. We don't want to be walking around with that attitude like, oh, don't go around that person, or that person don't want to be bothered, or we don't want to talk to that person. Like, who are we drawing in doing shit like that, or being like that? Nah, we need to be that person that mingles, that outgoing person, that friendly person, that person that offers that helping hand. You ride in the bus, someone needs help with some change or something, offer them some change, whatever, man, little shit. Just, if you ain't popular, get popular. So, put it like that. Alright, we all, if you can run for office or run for central committee, do that. Any ways that you can expose voter fraud, I'm all for that shit. I mean, that shit really tugs at me, man. Anything you could do to promote Ron Paul Tribune, again, this website is like therapy for a lot of us. We need to be supporting it. If you're out in public and you ever see one of the media whores, Bill O'Reilly, Aaron Burnett, Anderson Cooper, anybody, you catch them at a coffee shop, anywhere, don't go without speaking your mind at them. I ain't saying scream at them, I ain't saying, be arrogant or ignorant, but man, these motherfuckers in the media, they need to be worried about walking outside. Not because they're going to get jumped or anything, but because people are going to expose them. You get a chance to see one of these motherfuckers, you need to speak your mind and tell them how you feel. You see Rush Limbaugh go into a restaurant or something, and you walking by or something, Man, these people in the media need to know that we're on to them. We're on to them. Let's see. Obviously, any raw power gear, any political active gear you can wear, that helps. You never know when you're going to be walking around and you see another raw Paul supporter and don't even know it, but your sweater sparks up a conversation, whatever. And open up businesses, too, that support the movement, you know? Like, if you are going to open up a business, which I don't recommend it unless you really got your shit together, because that shit's a big risk and there's a lot of regulations. But if you are, man, do something that promotes the cause. You know, a farmer's market is a good thing. You know, a farm, an organic food, you know, things like that. You know, whatever it may be. You know, a weed shop. If you can open up your own weed shop, shit. Let's, you know, do that. That's helping battle the New World Order. Okay, so look. I kind of motherfucking touched on all my little topics there. I just want to touch on one thing here to occupy the media real quick, and some of you guys may already heard me give my spiel about that, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up. You know, I don't know really how much longer I got or if I'm taking too much time, so you guys just let me know if I'm rambling too much. But I appreciate y'all listening. Oh yeah, and on Facebook, I'm Paco757. Excuse me, Paco Elijah. On Facebook, it's 2 words. And YouTube, I'm Paco757, so you guys can add me up there. All right, no doubt, go on. So really, I just want to touch on Occupy the Media. I just want to say this, man, that we in the movement, we got to recognize the biggest weapon that our enemy has. And the biggest weapon is not the drones, it's not the guns, it's not the military, the police state, it's not the torture, the jails, it's none of that shit. It's the media. It's the media. That is the biggest weapon they have. There's nothing bigger or better that helps their cause than that. The media does their job. The media creates their perception. We have to combat that. We have to get in the middle of that. We have to interrupt that. The same way we're interrupting the Republican Party, we're interrupting their meetings, we're interrupting their conventions, and all of that. What are we doing? We're making them show their hand. And by them showing their hand, they're exposing themselves and more people are waking up. And that's what we have to do. We need every person in this country to understand that the mainstream media is full of shit, but they don't. And some of us might want to think that, but I'm here to tell you, I see people and I talk to people that still quote CNN to me. They still quoting this Obama bullshit. They still believe in Bill Clinton and shit. They still think he's the first cool black president or some shit. The sheep follow the mainstream media, even if they don't watch it. And that is our biggest problem. So, in any possible way, we need to battle them. It's not watching them, killing their ratings. If you can work and get on the inside somehow, get in there, expose them, you know, every way we can to make it harder for these media whores to do their job, you know, and that's why I'm an advocate and I'm promoting the cause, Occupy the Media. I one day hope to make a documentary, hopefully as explosive and as hard-hitting and as popular as, say, Loose Change or Zeitgeist or something. So hopefully it'll be a documentary that'll take off, because I believe that us in the movement need to stop separating and focusing on everything else. You know, some of us is battling abortion and battling the Fed and battling foreign aid and battling the UN. And we all got our own battles, but the one thing that brings us all together is the biggest tool they got. It's the mainstream media. It's the mainstream media. They go against every person, every good heart, every good-minded person. The media is their enemy. And we have to battle that. We have to occupy them. That's why I don't believe Occupy Wall Street is the best strategic move, or occupying the Fed is even the best strategic move. I'm all for it. I'm all right there with you, you know, I'm physically and spiritually, but my heart and my soul is really to occupy the media, because I feel like that's where we're going to cause the most damage. That's where they're hoping we don't show up. CNN is hoping that we don't catch on and show up at their locations. NBC is hoping that Paco don't let everybody know that NBC got bailed out by the taxpayers, because the majority of people out there don't even know that Obama and the administration bailed out MSNBC, NBC with taxpayer money. Okay? And so we need to be putting that word out there, and more people need to understand that the media is not free market. The media is just a right arm, left arm of the government. They are nothing but government tools. And we need to expose that and show them that if we had a free market like Ron Paul talks about, a lot more of the mainstream media would sound like the alternative media, and it would be a lot of real news getting out there. But because they control everything, and the government is bailing them out, and all in bed with together, what happens? Their stories get out. Their truths get out, so to speak. And so we got to stop the media. We got to occupy the media. I believe that if we show up at every location and we occupy every single one, and we can all meet up and link up and become locally active in the Republican Party doing everything. But one thing that we can do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis for some of us that are busy, is occupy the media. Whatever you do, get yourself as free as possible. If you ain't motherfucking financially set, don't be out there having kids. You know? Be single if you can. You know, like, get your shit together. If you're a fucking female, especially a fly-ass female, you need to date a libertarian. You know what I mean? Like, you need to hire these libertarian dudes out here. Or, if you is talking to somebody and you like somebody, you need to school these motherfuckers that are out there and turn them into libertarians. You females out there, y'all fly chicks in the movement, those of y'all that attract other people out there, you need to be motherfucking using that shit. You know what I'm saying? Anything you can do. Anything. Alright, so anyways, they have another guest on the line, so I don't want to take up any more time, but I appreciate you guys listening. And again, I'm on Facebook, Paco Elijah, and I appreciate it. I'm out.